Good evening and welcome to Slam the Gavel, the show that tells it all regarding family court, other court issues, as well as CPS. I am your host, Maryann Petri. You can find me, my books, and blogs on dismantlingfamilycourtcorruption.com, as well as on Amazon. Again, feel free to buy me a coffee to help keep this podcast going. And I have another announcement. Please notify your Attorney General in your state regarding solar panels made by Sonova Generac Systems. If you're having difficulty with this company, fill out the complaint form in your state for your Attorney General. I have a return guest on. I'm very happy to have Lisa Goodpaster back on. She was last on June 9th of 2023, season 4, episode 107. She's also a book author of Alienated: When Parents Won't Parent. Good book, and I welcome you back. We've got a lot to talk about because you've got courses going on now.
Very excited to offer. I've got two courses that are ready to go. One is called, Navigating Healing and Parental Alienation, and that has about 12 modules, and that will help empower parents how to understand what alienation is, how to understand the trauma, how to identify it, how to work with their children's emotions to teach them and themselves how to regulate their emotions, to a course that's specifically there for understanding the law as it pertains to child custody.
Mhm.
So all kinds of great information. And my favorite one is the solution, what I call it, to alienation. And it is time to educate the kids. And I have a course for kids ages 7 to 17. And it is called Understanding Tough Times Between Parents. And this is so important because I'm always asked, well, what would have helped you, Lisa? And I'm like, well, I would have wanted to know what was going on. And so the way that it's done, it's quick. It's like 15 minutes, and it's a very pro parent. It's important to love both our parents,
Mhm.
and I explain parental alienation, but in a very age appropriate way. And
Mhm.
and I also think it's important to empower kids with the tools uh, on so they can learn how to um, you know use their voice to speak to their parents, like, oh, that doesn't feel right, and that doesn't feel right either. And so they can start to learn how to protect themselves, because it is taking so long in these court cases and we're not seeing any movement. uh,
Right.
it is so crucial that this happens in the now. So as many, whether there's law firms to big parental alienation advocates groups. I know I reached out to Ludwood for 50 with 50/50. Um, Anyone that is wanting to look at the course so that we can figure out how to get to the kids, because we want to use this specific course
Mhm.
for kids that are now going through a divorce with their parents, especially while they're in the court system.
Yeah, that's very important. And what I have found is that these parents are taking these kids to the psychologist, and the psychologist is actually letting that parent read court documents, judge's orders to these kids. And they're
Oh my
just sitting
God.
back and letting this parent do that. But how do you stop that? Because
Oh,
it's pretty bad when your kid knows your case better than you.
yes. You know what that psychologist is doing with their that, so they're only putting more kids should never be. Number one, you never want to put a kid in the middle of their parents' divorce. That right there automatically puts them in the middle. No,
Mhm.
that is
I know. I mean, I
uh
never did. Because you know my story. We had co-parented well for
hey,
10 years, and we got along great that way, and there was no friction, and thank God for that. At least the kids had somewhat of a normal childhood for at least 10 of those years, but then it all went to crap when they hit their teens.
yeah, oh yeah, and because it's completely, I understand that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there's a time when kids may want to see it. when they're older, and that's different. But in the psychologist's office, oh no bueno. Oh, how uncomfortable for that kid. How uncomfortable.
Well, then I reported these psychologists, and then it was brought up in court that I had reported them, and that was like a no-no.
Incredible.
So I reported them again.
There you go. That's right. Wow. Yeah, it's this is why I'm also excited to announce that I am moving from Facebook to school.com, and I'll share the link so you can
Okay.
share with everyone. And this is such a great opportunity for all parents. What I'm going to be doing is sharing everything that helped me, everything that is in my book. I am going to be sharing and helping parents to kids that are ready to want to learn. Yeah, how do you move through all that stuff? What's the I got it, and I've had it, and I'm so happy to bring it forth. And all of this right now is free.
Hmm.
I am not charging anything to help parents. My mom is already in the group. We're going to have coffee, questions and answers, Zoom classes, healing circles. I'm going to invite people from from this marvelous arena that we are all in
Oh, yeah.
to help out, teach things. I want to flip it in a way where it's already hard enough. And I've said before, if I have to talk about this the rest of my life, we can laugh,
Hmm.
because I want parents to see, and the kids to see that this is a this is preventable, but it's also fixable.
Hmm.
The sooner the sooner we can heal with our parents, yes, it it helps out. And however long it takes, my mom and I are doing so well.
Good.
There's just was a lot of letting go, and we'll share the funny things. I mean, I'm still, it's funny, the things that I deal with now are like, wait, why was my electric bill so much? Or why was my gas bill so much? And my mom would be like, huh? It's because, you know, because I never learned how to like, I went from marriage to marriage, and here my mom is very successful. So I see the ripoff.
Hmm.
And so when you see the ripoff, it's like, this bullshit, you
Oh,
know. But
yeah.
and I don't spend my time as much hating on what happened to me. And this is hard for some people, I guess. You can't hate what happened to you and then try to do something good with it.
Hmm.
I hated, yeah, I wish that didn't happen, but at the
Yeah.
same time, my son didn't, I was able to break that
Right.
cycle. But it wasn't without suffering. But you know, I I want parents and professionals to know that fear never brings alienated kids back. And in the 40 years, what brought me back is in that book.
Hmm.
And that's what I'm bringing to the forefront. It is time. We are in a new era, a shift. And what
Hmm.
I'm teaching every family, every kid should know how to regulate, should know how to understand their own mind and body uh, without needing without having to wait months or sit there and do this talk therapy where it all it does is reinforce the negative patterns. And when you've had a lot of trauma early on, it's important to play, it's important to laugh,
Hmm.
and to be in the present, and that's where the healing is. It's never in the past.
But do you think when parents are in family court, these judges assign, say, a co-parent counselor or another counselor? So they also drag these cases out where I have seen, I got to answer my first question to the next one. But okay, so, they're assigning a psychologist to that case who doesn't even know what they're dealing with. And they don't know what parent they're dealing with and what is really going on. So that's all messed up. Then you've got a judge who's purposely, and the opposing counsel, whatever, is dragging cases out so that parent can't see the kid. How do you install, because you're these courses need to be installed like now, not dragging a case out for 4 years. By that time, that parent is out of the picture.
Right. Right. This is what's so important. This is why, like, I'm like, hello, help. You're happy alienated ex-kid over here trying to like, this is what helped me. And not just me, hundreds of thousands of people. The research is there. Um, but the psychologists and the big wigs in this arena aren't comfortable with that. I
Mhm.
don't know. Is it because, not my problem? But I can tell you that, well, the more time it takes, the more money it makes. The
Right.
more time, the more time that the kids are stuck. And here's what I see. Um, because when I learned what happened to me, that's based on all behavioral. This is evolutionary shit. This is fact. So when you look at the courts, I can, no disrespect, but why I get, okay, you're gonna pick on my parents' personalities. Okay, well,
Hmm.
that's gonna hurt kids anyways.
Hmm.
And that only takes longer. And why don't you just concentrate on the parents' behavior instead of the personalities? Because
Hmm.
we all have personalities.
Hmm.
And the behavior, like dad or mom isn't bringing the kids, they're not doing what they're supposed to do. Okay, that is clearly alienation. You're not doing your job. Boom. Because the more you pin parents each other, and this is what hurts the kids. But if you focus on the parents' behavior, well, it's a lot easier than how humiliating to take a personality test.
Hmm.
Everybody knows that doesn't mean it. We all have personalities.
Hey,
It's
I'm anxiety with depressed mood, just so if anyone here needs to know. I've got
I'm anxiety.
anxiety and depressed mood.
I'm anxiety with a sense of humor, and sometimes I get a little fired up.
Yeah, I do have a sense of humor. Yeah, it comes out
Yeah,
occasionally.
yeah, right. So I think not that there are some parents that just don't want to acknowledge that. Yeah, then I would go, okay, there's something wrong. But uh, when you're going through a divorce, whether you like it or not, uh, you are emulating how to deal with stress with your kids. You are emulating, okay, this, are you going to freak out? Are you going to, it is, and it's easier said than done, easier said than done.
Mhm.
But when you have the right support and you're hearing the right messaging, you're going to feel more empowered.
Hmm.
So going back to, uh, what they need to do is not focus on the alienation, focus on the attachment. You focus on the attachment because when you focus on the alienation, you're subconsciously telling your kids, unless you figure this out, you are not worthy of my love.
Hmm.
And I don't think any targeted parent wants to give that message at all. And it's like the same time, it's like, but for kids to kind of move through this, you kind of have to accept being alien. And that's really hard when you look at all the things and it's like, I read something the other day and it's like, okay, but every human being disassociates when they get stressed.
Hmm.
Uh, Splitting,
Hmm.
okay? When you watch your favorite Super Bowl and they lost and
Hmm.
you get mad, splitting.
Hmm.
So, and I don't mean to minimize it, but I'm just sharing. We need to look at trauma in a different way to empower our kids, not to be feared, because you are not going to be able to maneuver in this world successfully until we understand that, oh, wait, this is the way the mind and body works. This is why I'm excited about RFK,
Hmm.
because the medical industry is the same as the mental health industry, and
Hmm.
there have been major mistakes because they haven't. And this is what my book does. It explains. No, trauma does happen in the body,
Hmm.
and all the things that, like I said, all the things that I had learned that empowered me, all those 2,000 hours that I put in. Um, will be going to good use because I can't do this stuff on Facebook because it just doesn't give, it's just
It's
not the platform.
censored. Yeah.
Right. And I can't do it on TikTok because it's just not long enough. And so school.com and my group is called Alienated. That that is that's the platform that will allow me and
Mhm.
to be able to even, I mean, how cool is that to have my mom on there, and she's in
That
there
is
right now.
cool.
Yeah, so just really trying to just like, this is what it's like being human, this is what it's like, no shame.
Mhm.
uh we all have anxiety. I mean, we can't live without anxiety, but you've heard of the term, what is it, when it's not rapid growth, it's that where you learn adversity through adversity through adversity. People want to know, like, we already know this. The more adversity that we are, dealt at a younger age,
Mhm.
the more we
Aces.
snap back. Yes, it just doesn't feel like that at 20, doesn't feel like that at 30.
Mhm.
But looking back, it's like, whoa, there's a lot of wisdom there.
Mhm.
And I think, like I said earlier, all of us uh, carry shame and suffering. Shame is one of the first uh, feelings, things that we have.
Mhm.
And we're all using shame and suffering to hurt each other.
Mhm.
And I want to empower kids and older ones. Like, I know what you're going through the inside. It's very scary.
Mhm.
And you don't want, me being a parent, I would never want my child to feel disempowered because something happened to him.
Mhm. Yeah. And there's so much of this going on that people don't know it's happening in their
Maryann,
family.
pause. Hold on. Let me let my dog out. She's like,
So this is happening within families, and other relatives don't even know it,
right.
or they
Yeah.
enable it. What do you do with these alien or enabling relatives, flying monkeys? I mean, some people have more flying monkeys than the average person.
Oh, um, this is why we educate the kids.
Mhm.
We educate the kids, and some situations are going to be different, and
Mhm.
we can still educate the kids and give them love, support, and parents as well. Not everyone can have healthy, supportive
Mhm.
families, and that's unfortunate, but that's on the families, not the person that's suffering.
Yeah.
People, you know, hopefully, hopefully we're entering an era where um, families become first, and not just intact families.
Right.
It feels like there's uh, a little bit of hey, what about us?
Hmm.
Right? Because we've got blended families, we've got adoptive. We've got there isn't one standard. I think families love,
Hmm.
and whether they're relatives, whether they're friends, um, ultimately, we do best. We're all meant for connection. We're all meant for love.
Hmm.
Disconnection and chaos and hate only grows, but love expands, and understanding that we're all suffering this uncomfortable human condition. And just so your audience knows, I know what it's like going through divorce.
Hmm.
I went through one, and I understand what pops up, like it did for me.
Hmm.
Uh, and it's important to have these conversations. Like, it's okay to divorce. Divorce will open up things that are not healed,
Hmm.
and we can either use that to help propel us forward, or we stay stuck. And the world that we're entering, where we're going to have robots, we have AI.
Hmm.
You stay stuck, it's going to be really hard, and it shouldn't be.
Hmm. It's getting more complicated. I think, if we're going to have these robots. I saw that dog robot that doesn't have a head, but it's walking around, and some other dog went up to it like, "What is that?"
Yeah.
I mean, but people don't relate to other people kindly anymore either. The cancel culture.
Yeah.
So that falls along with the lines of the alienation.
Mhm. Definitely. Yeah. That's why there's so much estrangement. And
Mhm.
it it's it's really I've never seen anything like it.
Mm-mm.
And it's like they've normalized uh here's what I want parents to know. Anybody's that's listening that they may not be aware. So kids always have this is where maybe parents don't realize we always have an attachment to our parents. That's why we'll be like, I'm mad at my mom, but damn it, why do I feel weird and guilty on the inside? Yeah, that's the attachment. It's not there's something wrong with you. That pull in your heart, that like because we have an attachment to them. Oftentimes it's the parents' attachment to their child
Mhm.
that is what is flawed. And that shows up in family court when they don't put their kids first. And
Mhm.
part of putting your kids first, and that's what sucks about divorce, is sharing. We share our kids with everyone, but it's best to share them when they are prepared and they understand how to use their voice, what it's like to, we weren't taught about our own emotions. Like uh thoughts are
Mhm.
the brain, thoughts are the language of the brain. Think about that.
Mhm.
Thoughts are the language of the brain. Feelings are the language of the body. So when you understand how to work your mind and body so that uh am I triggered? And I teach these things. It's like, if you are, it's okay. Hold on, let's work through it right now.
Mhm.
And it's empowering because it's like, oh, I did it.
Mhm.
You want to be able to. My mom and I, we don't really talk about, or here's what the best thing my mom does is when I get really stressed, especially in the space sometimes, um, I'll call her, we'll go for a walk, and I'm just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I could feel like my inner teenager just like, and
Mhm.
she's just like, it's all I really needed was to vent.
Mhm.
Just needed my mom to listen.
Mhm.
And it's adorable when you realize, geez, that's all I needed. And even for my mom, because, she wasn't taught how to, none of us were. We're all
Mhm.
human.
Right.
And you have all these uh, strange parents that are very hurt, and I get it. And then you have the kids that are hurt, and I'm like, but I get your side and I get your side, but if you knew what I knew, if you knew, like, I love playing pool and having wine or whatever with my mom, just hanging out. It's healing. You feel like, oh, I never ever thought that I would feel like my mom's one of my safe places.
Mhm.
Like, she hugs me now, I hug her. And I'm still like, I I can tell, like, I think a lot of people, especially in our space, if I had a dysregulated nervous system, well, so do the parents have to, because, and so I
Mhm.
understand what that is like, and you will feel crazy. You will feel like, the hell is wrong with me? And it's just like, and I'm just like, you're gonna be okay. And it's hard when you're in that space because it's hard to take in new information. So you have to want it. You have to really, like, I don't want to be this way. I don't want this X taking so much space in my life or in here. And you
Mhm.
see that a lot. And it's like that, I know, because I was like that with my stepmom, right?
Mhm.
She took so much space.
Oh yeah.
Uh, so much space. So now I use it for good. It's just yeah, I'm just ready to, like, let's help. Let's flip this so that you are stronger. You're more able to handle whatever comes at you
Mhm.
when it has to do with your kids. How you can. how can you relate to your adult kids? Like what worked for me and my mom, and what did it?
Mhm,
And
mhm,
the honest truth. And because it's not easy at first, because both I think both parent and adult child are going to be dealing with that discomfort. And
mhm,
yeah, so there's a lot of positivity stuff, a lot of just like when I said talking about how the courts, why are they focusing on personalities?
mhm,
Why are they focusing on the personalities? We all have personalities. And then why do these experts get to limit and label our kids? They're part, and I don't mean to, it's not I'm not picking on them. This isn't a judgment on them. But how do they know how we're going to end up? Are they
mhm.
psychic? Are the
Yeah.
big name people that are used in the family courts, are they psychic? Do they have the right to tell you that your kids are going to be psychologically, we're all psychologically abused at some point.
Mhm,
We all end up in some sort of dysfunctional relationship. These are moments where they can either teach us, yes, they harm us, that's a part of life.
mhm, mhm,
But when we start teaching our kids how to navigate a world, you really are navigating, you're teaching your kids to navigate a world without you. That's
mhm,
what parents are there for. And when
mhm,
they're hijacked from courts, and then you have, this is why the courts need to be either
Abolished.
gone, abolished. And you got people are like, no, no, no. And I'll get to this in a second, but it's really important that we are in a shift, and it is time for all parents to really look at this from a different angle. Like, wait a minute. Yeah, why is it? Because I'll be very honest. I was asked to not support parents that are fighting the court system. And I was a little bit, okay, I get the Tina Swithin part, but I don't, that's bullshit. It took me a second, and then I reached out, and the right thing to do is say, no, we need both.
Mhm,
We need both. And anybody that tells you what to think, how to feel, uh, and if you don't, I'm gonna spread bad stuff about you. Go for it. It's not going to be any worse than what my stepmom did. So look, we need both. And when it's the people that are making a profit in
mhm,
the courts, I'm sorry, but
mhm,
when do these psychologists and these experts have the say over parents? That's what the kids look at, is they're looking for safety, they're looking for comfort, and all they see in the courts and what the parents are, what's happening to the parents, that doesn't make them feel safe, and it's horrible.
mhm,
So yeah, I'd like to know why is it wrong to support the parents that are fighting the court system?
mhm,
Are some maybe alienators because apparently they're all disgruntled? No, I know for a fact there are parents. I I know. I've seen,
mhm,
I've been in this arena long enough. Not only I've seen, and to not to I'm sorry, but I stand behind the ones, and if that makes other people uncomfortable, I stand behind the ones that want 50-50 too. I just want the kids to know they're going to be okay.
mhm,
You know, it's we do suffer, and the biggest thing um is once we hit adulthood, we're dealing with, like, I definitely didn't wasn't a theme growing up, suicide ideation, that wasn't, or cutting, that wasn't, right, that wasn't when I was growing up.
mhm,
But I can understand why.
mhm,
And that kind of pain is stays with you, and it's why a lot of us will numb, a lot of us will do things, and when you know what harmed you,
mhm,
and it's not just the alienation, but when you know what harmed you and how it harmed you, then you're actually empowered, and you're like, wait, we can work through this. Yes.
mhm,
Maybe not everyone, because it's a choice,
mhm,
but it's an option that's not being offered. And there's it's devastating to see so many parents suffering, and the kids are not really wanting to come around. And I know why. It's the fear-based information, and the alienators just use it against the the other parent.
Hmm.
Look, this is what your parent thinks of you. They think you're going to have all these issues, and when you're 11, 12, 13, you're like, that's not true. And then we don't know what we know. We're lacking that life experience. And it's important too. I would have wanted to hear, not so much from my parents, because it takes time, but I would have wanted to hear from someone like me that went, oh, okay, I'm going to be okay. Yeah, you're going to be
Hmm.
okay. Yeah.
Because when all of that is going on in this family court system,
Mhm.
um, I can't imagine. Well, I have seen the stress it has caused, mine.
Yeah.
And I think these judges want this to happen. I got to say this very carefully. I'm trying to. I think they want this to happen so they can create more personality disorders to run through the family court system once those people grow up and get married. Then it's like, great, we've got more income flowing.
This is why we have to educate the kids, because it is a human rights issue. It
Hmm.
truly is. It,
Hmm.
it truly is, because they don't want to believe the kids because they're too young and they're brainwashed. Uh, I clearly show um, that yes, I was brainwashed, but my essence, my who little Lisa was, no, 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 I fought. And I know there are kids out there that are fighting, but they're not being heard because of
Right.
the experts, because of the situation. And that's why I'm here to say no. You don't want to believe these kids. You don't want to. I get it, because they're acting all. That's what happens when you lose your attachment to a parent and you don't know. You
Hmm.
will do anything. You'll be mad. You will scream. You'll spit. You'll run away. And somebody said something, and I won't say the expert, but I literally, like, that's not true. That's not, that may be true in your court of law, the way that you explain it, because you're going after our parents because it fits within your stuff, but that is not true. There is another way, and how dare anybody not allow this other information in that is helpful, that is going to make a difference, and will actually help families. Because what family court should be doing, right,
Hmm.
is they should be restoring attachments, not ripping them apart. And that's what I have an issue with. And because of a parent's personality, and they're so, no, what if it's trauma? What if it was trauma like what I went through? But yet I rebelled from it. So I flipped it. Didn't mean I did. You get a lot more pattern. I still suffered. I share all that. I'm not making light of it.
Hmm.
But think about this from a logical perspective here. Like, instead, it's so, it would have been, I mean, they wanted me to diagnose, I laugh now. I'm like, I can't believe I thought maybe my mom had a personality disorder. I really thought that. Now
Hmm.
I'm going, she's the same person when I remembered. And that's the beauty of it, is over time, you're like, wait a minute, this is all a bunch of bullshit. It's, like, I think I had to become a lot more, I mean, it was easy. Like, the things that my mom has been able to do for me, I don't know if I'd be like, I'm living right now. By the way, I'm in my old room when I was 7, when I got hijacked. I'm living in the house that I was actually hijacked from. Talk about full circle.
Hmm.
This is my old room. I used to run out the so, like, I just, why, and this is, the parents have control, not the judges, even though they don't feel like they do, but they have the ones to say, hey, you know what? Yeah, why can't we? Because as much as parents, I get it a lot. Hey, like, you're allowed to. I understand. I understand if anybody hurt my kid, I get it. But when it comes to getting a divorce, why are we focusing on the personalities? Why aren't we focusing on the attachments? Why do we have to hear such disgusting stuff that one of them is alienation is just as bad as being sexually abused. Who says that? And is it? Let me tell you something. I don't wish any of that on anybody.
Mhm.
But no, being sexually abused is horrible. And to compare that to alienation is the rudest, stupidest thing a person can do. It is not, it is not, in my case, the alienation was worse because all the men that hurt me, and well, yeah, except one woman,
Mhm.
all died. So there was like a closure, but the alienation went on. That's why it hurt.
Mhm.
Suffering is suffering. It shouldn't be judged. Trauma shouldn't be judged. Um, and but I guarantee, when we have parents that apparently we're not supposed to use the word high conflict anymore. It's supposed to be court something. When you have parents that are co-parenting and you're left alone, the chances of being hurt in that way go a lot higher.
Mhm.
So I just don't understand how that is used. Uh, it's a horrible thing.
Mhm. Well, another falsehood is that, well, when the kids talk to the judge and tell them what they want, the judge will listen to them. And I have found in even my own experience, the judge won't listen because he's under a false narrative. There's a lot can happen in there. My child was asking for 50-50 shared, which we had been for 10 years before the stepmother inserted herself in all of these relationships. Okay, so the kid is telling the judge he just wants to go back to 50-50 like we had been. He didn't want to do it because he was in collusion with the opposing attorney. People need to know who's playing in the same sandbox
Yeah.
because it won't stop. This won't stop until they totally get that kid away from the fit parent, the target parent, and destroy him. Now what?
This is why it's time to educate the kids.
Right.
There's just no other way. And also because it's on the kids the rest of our lives. Like when parents divorce, um, it ends for the kids. It ends for the parents, never ends for the kids because
Mm-mm.
you know, you still share your kids, you share your grandkids.
Mhm.
Like this is like it doesn't end. And I think
Mhm.
parents, because it's hard when you only see if you have a 7-year old, that's only the experience you have, and it's so scary even in today's world with all the things that are going on. So one thing is for sure is all parents and kids, they need to get back to like whether their parents are divorced or intact. All of us need to know that these tools and the family dynamics that go on and what the kids need, and a lot of the therapy that has been done. Look,
Mhm.
I mean, I've had really good therapists, and I've seen some really like, what the heck? And
Mhm.
it's the ones in the courts because the way you heal and the way you heal is not the way that it's done in court. And especially when, how bad is that the kids think that if you're trying to heal with your parent, but yet the courts use the personality disorders, so that kid forever is going to be like, well, my mom has a personality disorder. Does that mean I have a personality? It doesn't. It's who has the right. The
Mhm.
judge have personality disorders? I
No.
mean, the judges have personalities. The attorneys have personalities. Why are you focusing? You can do the same thing. You can prove alienation by proving a dysfunctional attachment. Most of us have grown up with an insecure attachment to our parents,
Mhm.
and it's been hidden, and they've known this, and I show, I talk about it in my book. They've
Mhm.
known this. So why? And these are things that need to be talked about. This is important. If you are a big expert in the court field, when I see all the things of parental alienation, and alienating parent will do this and do that. Yeah, all you're doing is enforcing to that other kid something's wrong with my parent, and ew,
And
and I say it, and it's like,
it's
it's true.
reinforcing. It's
Yes,
reinforcing what this
100%.
false narrative, this shared persecutory delusion that has been installed in this child's head.
And kids are like sponges. And so this is why it's so important to get them before they age out of the system. And this is why this is also a massive lawsuit, because you want to talk about, you want to silence me for not supporting uh, parents that are fighting the system because certain people think that they're disgruntled or whatever you want to call it. No. Are you kidding? What about the kids?
Hmm.
Kids don't know what they don't know because they don't have that life experience. So they're being taken, and because of their parents' divorce, um, they are being saturated with labels, limits. How anybody, that would piss off President Trump. I know it.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know, it is time to, and I'm sorry for, to say this bluntly, but if you are not doing what is best for kids, stop picking on our parents. I'm sick of picking on my parents. This is true. This happened the other day. My mom came over and she wanted to show me something. They redid the whole house for me, thank God. It's super cute. And she wanted to show me something about the sink. And I was like, Mom, I know how to walk. I'm not a kid, Mom. And she looked at me and she goes, I'm just trying to tell you. And I looked at her and I go, but Mom, I'm not a kid. And she's like, no. And she said, no. I'm like, she's gaslighting me. And then it went to another thing. And then I go, Mom. And I stopped myself. I go, are you trying to mom me? She goes, I am. I go, oh, okay, I'll give you bumpers. You can mom me. Like she was just trying to mom me, and I was trying to I was pinning labels on her. And
Mm.
I'm so glad I caught it because I'm like, you see what this shit does?
Hmm.
You see what this shit does? So when I see, and I'm just being 100% honest because there is no time. I'm being vulnerable and I'm saying, hey, these experts or anybody telling anybody that you don't have the right to sue, to do that is your right. Shame on them. Shame on these experts who think that they're the only ones that know, uh, okay, you're the only ones that know how to pick on other parents' personalities. So you can just continue to, what's the definition of crazy? Do the same thing over and over and over again.
That's
And it is
family court.
Yeah, and it is time to say no, absolutely not. And the only way to do this is to start educating the kids. And the way that I accepted and um, understood my alienation is because the way I found out and the beginning of what I learned was like there's nothing wrong with me. I don't have all these things. Nope. And you got a bunch of patterns, survival patterns, and it's like I just find it very divisive, and we don't have time for that. We're talking about families. We're talking about kids. And if you're participating in trying to tell people whether they can sue or not, if you are telling people they can't make money if they try to talk about alienation, all the hate, and then it's the hate between the mother's rights, one mom's battle, and then the people fighting parental alienation. But the people that are fighting parental alienation, like the Linda Gottlieb,
Mhm.
and then the one mom's battle, I get that parental alienation needs to be recognized. But I also don't like the way that I don't want to say don't like. It doesn't feel right the
Mhm.
way that because it's going off parents' personalities. And like I said earlier, no, we need to love our parents. To love and if my mom or dad had cancer, what, I'm going to shame them for that?
Mm.
So we are so they're teaching. They're literally teaching and enforcing. Oh, it's your ex, and your ex is the one that's the person. They are keeping parents further away from their kids.
I agree.
I don't believe in reunification camp. I'm sorry, I don't. Especially for teenagers. I just don't. Because I don't. And if that's an issue, I'm sorry, but there's no way as a former divorced kid who is alienated, they need, this is what my mom says, just send the parents to camp, not the kids. Send the parents,
Or the step parents that are
step
interfering.
parents, anyone. Parents should be like, okay, what do I need to do if I do have some, because you don't really, unless you have the awareness or you want it, see, you don't really want to face it. And that's also like a survival mechanism. And there is a freedom to know, like, wait a minute, and the brain grows. Yes, the brain grows.
Mhm.
um, will it always go away? No, but uh, when I have moments of uncertainty and sadness, call my mom.
Mhm.
Sometimes I just hold it myself. But that is the most sacred thing, and anybody keeping that away,
Mhm.
uh, they're inhibiting the progress of our relationship with our parents. And it's time to hear from the kids, and they don't want to believe the kids because the kids are either too young, they feel that they're brainwashed. And I get if you're like a 1 year old, it's very easy when kids, from my understanding, 7 and up, there's and some kids are just, they're even 5 year olds even have, we love our parents.
Mhm.
It's in us. And I know there are some parents that are really not bueno. I get it. That's totally true as well. All things can be true, but it's really important to have an uncomfortable conversation, but in just an open way. Like, hey, what do you want to do about this?
Mhm.
What can we do? How can we make this better?
Well, it's got to be made better fast. Um, I was talking to someone on my podcast, and they were saying 1 in 30 or 1 in 20 are sociopaths. Why? Because of the family court system, and that's what I believe. That's contributing to it.
Yeah. I mean, I know no human wants to go through anything horrible. No, no, especially when you're growing up, no kid wants to feel um, like there's something wrong with them.
Mhm.
They don't want to have to worry about their parents. The whole this is design, and it's hurting the kids. Yes, it's hurting the parents,
Mhm.
but the kids, uh, there's there should be more parents suing actually. And yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
and I think it's it's time to really use your voice. And you can't, the fact that you've got people wanting 50-50, and yet not the people that are wanting 50-50, but the people, not all of the people behind it, but there are people behind it that are telling people don't support the parents that are fighting the courts. We've got a big problem internally.
Hmm.
And you can't, sometimes you just have to like skip over it. You kind of want to let people know, because there's nothing worse when you're using your voice for something good and then you get mean comments like, you're part of the problem and da 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 this, and you're supporting this law and you're supporting that law. And it's like, you know what, if it takes this damn system down, if it helps, because nothing else is happening. And like, you haven't really heard much from the administration yet, and I don't know if they're like, oh man, we don't want to touch that, or what it is. But if they think that, look, that court system needs to be, you, like I said earlier, when there is an airplane that is not
Hmm.
working right, there's some malfunction, they check the whole fleet. And we already know we've got corrupt justice at the highest court. We got to check
Hmm.
them all.
Oh,
And if
yeah.
and if the people that are behind the behind this that are telling me not to follow, they're part of the problem, not the
Mhm.
solution. And it's time to like really, really look in and go, yeah, like, what are we doing? Like, parents, you guys have a lot of, those are your kids.
Mhm.
How can it, we know you don't get due process. We know this. And the kids are just, they're their own, they have no agency. All they're told, so all they're told is my mom, I'm not kidding. It's really bad.
Yes.
And so now is the time to like, so I'm gonna start educating the kids. So I'm super glad about these the course for kids ages 7 to 17.
Mhm.
Um, that's the only thing that is going to um, help. And when I first here, let's just tie this together. When I first came on the scene, before the book was done, parents were very apprehensive. Like, we can't talk to our kids about alienation. We can't reach out to them. It doesn't work, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
You hear that all the time, and it's like, yeah, okay, I get that. And then you get to where I'm at today. It's like, nah, it's gotten worse. The only way. And I kind of knew it, but you're still like learning how the court system is, and I've been through it myself. Uh, no, the only way to do this, it's no different than, okay, so if a kid, when you're 16, you have to take a test. You got to learn how to drive. You have to do all that. Same thing. Kids have to be able to, because sometimes parents are, and this actually is going to save money. Number one, why? Because you're not going to be in court. You shouldn't be in court that long. Um, this will help parents not feel so like they're walking on eggshells because they're doing something wrong. So having this course already sets the tone of like, okay, this is the direction we're going in, instead of your father hates you, your mother hates you.
Mhm.
They got person, because they pick up on everything and
Mhm.
the messaging. Yeah. And yeah, that, look, trauma is a very scary thing. Childhood trauma is horrible. And this is why having a course that is ready to go now. This is why,
Mhm.
I'm sure that there are attorneys that would totally sponsor, not a problem at all. It's ready to go,
Mhm.
because why would you not want to? You already have that uncomfortable conversation with the kids. Why would you want to empower
There's so much money to be made off of family court, which leads to Title 4B, D, and E, generating billions for the states. I don't even know where that money goes. I'm saying, uh, that's why family court needs to go. It needs to be abolished. And I think a lot of this stuff would stop as well if people went into civil court and they start throwing around the silver bullet accusations. That would have to go to a trial and let them that would stop, and that would also halt dragging a case out for years. Come on.
them? Because those years, like, you don't get those years back.
No.
And it's really awkward to still feel that, like, earlier today I was like, oh, let me get it out, I'm a little nervous, like I was joking with you, but I was like, yeah,
No.
it's the same stress that I carried as a little kid will show up in the now. That's just, the body remembers stress. The way
Hmm.
that we absorb, the body remembers the stress. And the body does not forget.
Hmm.
uh, we're just not attuned to listening to our body, because it happens so quickly. We get feelings in our body. This is how I explain it. It happened. This is how I felt it. It's like, uh-oh, I'm feeling all uncomfortable in my body. Boom, the brain tries to match. And that's why it's so hard for kids when you think of the false accusations, when you think of, that's why they get triggered like that. Do the
Hmm.
experts tell them this? No. Do they even know? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I found out through, away from the family court, like I've had more success with people that aren't in the family court, because there's a there's just, that's just the way it happened for me, and I'm glad it did. that's why it's been difficult to, um, that's why I think some people like they may not understand, like, "Well, wait, what do you mean? I grew up, I figured out I was alienated because my stepmom left her manifesto that's in my book.
Oh yeah.
Every guy, every man is like, holy cow, sounds just like my ex. Or everyone is like, oh, but yeah, the first 60 pages are brutal. But the
Mm-hmm.
point is it just shows like when kids know the truth, and there's a lot of anger. Alienated kids have a lot of anger, and that's normal. That's the injustice. That's how
Mm-hmm.
I got to where I'm at. It's you don't want to be angry for that long.
No.
Uh, you don't. And this is why it's so important. It's like, come, like, imagine having these moments where you want your relationship with your kids so bad, but yet when you went to fight for them, the very thing you're fighting for is actually used against them. So the parents are like, it's a double edge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a double
And
standard. Yeah.
then you can't use your voice. You're getting gagged, and it's like you're suffering the most god awful thing as a parent is you're trying to protect your kids. And so when you're in that space, it's even easier to take on more negativity, more fear, because it's like our brain is already primed for that. So
Mm-hmm.
you're already in that state. And that's why it's so important. That's why I'm excited about the school that, I'm transferring over, because it's not going to be like that. I'm here to like give you hope and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, talk to the kids, even if it's just for like, hey, take your time, but this is what happened to me. And it just makes such a big difference. And this is universal. I'm sorry, the only difference with the trauma when it comes to alienation to other trauma, because I didn't know I was alienated for so long,
Mm-hmm.
is that the one critical piece was that I was missing a significant relationship in my life. And
Mm-hmm.
that was with my targeted mom because of what my stepmom did. And I not all step parents are good, and then we've got great step parents.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I'm very grateful for my stepdad, just my whole entire family. It, it's amazing to see on the flip side the suffering and the sadness, and it's like, Mom, I don't like. I'll tell her I don't know if I can do this. She goes, "You're doing it."
Yeah.
Like, and I'll get like, it's hard. It's not easy, but if I know I'm helping, then I'm doing right. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
I just, my heart aches. I can relate. When we're all emotional. We're all, we all know. And parents hurting themselves,
Mm-hmm.
parents, not wanting to be here anymore. And I
Mm-hmm.
just want to say this because I went through that a lot. But it gets so hard. You're just like, I just want, that's it. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. You just want to, because it hurts.
Mm-hmm.
What that is when you feel those things, it's you want out of the situation you're in. Is you are worthy of being here.
Mm-hmm.
And I see you. You're fighting for all the right things, but this shit needs to come to a, I don't want to say a reckoning of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds bad, but we got to do what's best for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I think really being kid focused and uh, it,
Oh, I agree. So, how soon will you start these programs and what will it be called?
so I should send you. I'm going to email you the thing right now, the link. Um, it's ready to go. I started it now, so um, when I get the first like 20 signups, then I'm going to do like a big launch party. I'll probably have my mom on there.
Okay.
And then I'm just going to start with a lot of it will be uh, live, like Zoom, so I'll have like maybe 15 or 20 parents or 10 parents, different different aspects, like, do you want to learn how to get rid of your anger? You want to learn how, what does healing really look like? What does it
Mhm.
really look like? I'm going to show that. I'm like a show and teller,
Mhm.
um, to show all the different aspects, all the different things that I needed to learn as a ex-alienated kid to move forward.
Mhm.
So all of these things, and you don't really see. So yeah, I'm going to be sharing, spreading, and we'll see how it goes.
I'm
But the
so
two
glad.
courses, thank you.
Mhm.
The two courses are ready now, and I need to see if maybe I can do a sample of some of the courses, but the one course, I'm just going to give you the link here because it's on my phone. I'll send it to you right now. The course for the kids is what there's attorneys or anyone that is working for change that can get this at least to parents, like,
Mhm.
hey, before you may want to have your kids watch this, and anybody can preview it if you
Mhm.
want. And um, then if that goes well, I'll continue to do more. Um,
Right.
but I just the former alienated kid, teen, adult, all those years, uh, it's time. We have to. Part of being a parent is preparing your kids to live in the world that they are going to be growing up in.
Mhm.
The world that they're going to be growing up with when you are working with AI. I mean, AI already has a therapist. I've tried it. It's actually pretty good. I just asked, I was joking, asking some little questions, but let me get you this link. Um, but
Now,
I definitely, I'm gonna just email it to you. It'll be
oh, do
faster.
you want me to put it in the podcast notes?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
I'm gonna do it right now.
Oh,
I'm
good.
right now, Maryann. It's funny, your eyes start to go after a minute here. What was I saying? Sorry, hold on. It's hard to multitask.
I know,
Yeah,
isn't it? Yeah, you were talking about
isn't it?
like the courses and getting the kids and the parents to watch it together.
Yeah, yeah. If somebody wants a copy of it, but I really think that this uh, it's really important to give your kids a safer way to look at things, something to like, oh, okay, she went through it too, because it was hard to accept. It's hard to accept you're alienated.
Hmm.
That's one thing, but to be able to prevent it, to empower the kids about divorce and what goes on, because they've been doing this forever. They've been telling us, oh, you're a kid from divorce, but they don't tell us, well, what could happen, and
The aftermath.
the aftermath. And if anything, it's that internal struggle, that internal ache. Because I've done my own peer review research throughout my life, and I'm like, hey, do you feel this? Yeah, me too. And they're like, keep going, Lisa. Like, this applies to estranged kids. It's like this is what cracks me up is alienation a specialty? Well, when you pick on our parents' personalities and you turn it into a specialty, I suppose. But the way that I learned it, it's in my book.
Yeah.
Negative love patterns. All of us, we were, and this is just a compassionate way to look at humanity. And what a better way to like say, hey, no more taking our kids, and you get to decide who gets to limit and label before they even get a chance to grow up.
Hmm.
Not okay. Not okay. And I, I wish it didn't take me as long as it did, but yeah, one of my stubborn patterns is procrastination.
Oh.
And I want to, and there's ways to break through that. Uh, Procrastination is going to be that's the my favorite. No, it's not my favorite wound. It's funny. It's one of those things. So,
Hmm.
you know, awareness is
Hmm.
such. an empowering place to be because it's like, what am I going to do? Now I know. So once you have that awareness, and that's what kind of this what the kid course does is that it opens up those, oh, it gives you a different example. And then you have someone there that understands
Hmm.
instead of some scary clinical person looking at you and wanting you to take a test. No, we are way more than what happens to us. And
Hmm.
the more I hear the word damaged, damaged, the kids are damaged forever. And I'm like,
Hmm.
no. Damage is means that you are of no good use.
Hmm.
Trauma means wounded.
Hmm.
Let's get that straight right now.
Hmm.
No one has the right to, and when the parents do it, I know they're doing it from an emotional broken place, but no loving parent wants their kids to be damaged.
Right.
And but you can feel like your kids are damaged when they act like asses to you, and that's not okay either. And that's, and that's why I would ask, like, the older kids. Yeah, I used to do that too, but like when you were, sometimes those are all reactions because you have to get to a place where both your nervous systems are like calm and you're ready. And a lot of it is because of the environment that this creates. So it's, I'm telling you, the day that I found out, like, wait, I don't have to carry all this hurt and all this stuff. There's a way through. Yes. Well, where do I sign up? I want to do the work because that that's why there's a freedom in finding out you're alienated,
Hmm.
but it's not a freedom when there's no place. Like, where do you go? And all they have is what, turning points. I mean, I know that there's other, I'm sure this is a big world. um I can just attest to like what helped me was the freedom of knowing, wait, there's nothing wrong all that time. So how is it that they're not teaching this stuff in the courts when it's been around? Oh, because the psychologists, some of them didn't learn this, whatever it is. um as long as they keep picking on parents' personalities, and this is coming from a kid's perspective, not a
Hmm.
kid, I'm sorry, a grown-ass woman who's raised her son, forgot. um uh yeah, this is not, kids don't want to dissect their parents, and parents don't want to dissect their kids. Kids
Hmm.
want to love and be nurtured and grow up whole with their parents.
Hmm.
And dissecting their personalities, yeah, maybe some are bad, but I'm guessing, uh, and what they say is true. There's no such what the mental health crisis calls all these labels and all that stuff. It's a dysregulated nervous system.
Hmm.
And you are all taking advantage of these innocent people and
Hmm.
their kids for greed because you
Hmm.
have to have it your way. You won't make room for any other way.
Agreed. I'm so glad you came on. And how can people reach you if they have any questions?
They can, I'm going to send the link. I sent you the link in your email,
Okay.
school.com, Facebook,
Okay.
Instagram. All my socials are on there.
Okay.
Um, and you can also email me at alienatedbylisa@yahoo.com.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Hey, don't jump off. Slam the Gavel. It's a podcast to help the public understand what really goes on in these courtrooms. I'm your host, Maryann Petri. You can find me on Spotify, YouTube. Please like and subscribe. Apple, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google, and other platforms I don't know about. Again, feel free to buy me a coffee to help keep this podcast going. Thank you, Lisa Goodpaster. You're a wealth of knowledge, and I'm glad you did these courses. Thank you.
Welcome. Like, yeah,
Yes.
yes.